host, Libby Hunt, along with my producer and co-host, Kevin E.
Hey, Libby, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic.
Happy Friday. And sorry we're just a few minutes late. We had some technical difficulties, but it's all worked out now, the kinks. And I have my precious baby brother, baby Wayne, in the studio today. And my mom, who's over there watching. But welcome, Wayne.
Thank you.
Wayne is executive producer of the film The Heart of Man, which will be premiering next week in over 500 theaters. And so he is here to tell us about his film.
Yes. It isn't the first time I've brought technical difficulties to a situation.
Right. Many growing up, many.
Yeah, Libby and Libby's little brother was entertaining, and thank you for having me.
Yes,
Libby
so
and I have been very close, like all of our siblings, since we were little.
There's 4 of us. I'm the oldest.
When Libby left for college, I sat on the top step of our stairs and cried.
That's so sweet.
And I was in 3rd grade, and she was leaving to go to Missouri to school.
Yes.
I later went to visit her and snuck in the all-girls dorm and tried to spend the night.
Correct. It was so sad. I had to send him away. He would have gotten in trouble.
But we've so lucky to have a close family, and it's just been awesome to watch what I'd say the kind of the second half of Libby's life, and to launch a film career and
it's my second
production company, and it's pretty awesome. And then the fact that I, through various channels got into it, producing films. So
we helped produce Occupy Texas with our good friend Gene Gallerano, who starred and wrote it and starred in it. But we've had a lot of fun. So this is your 2nd or 3rd film you've helped produce?
I'd say, that I've been involved in, second production, And it's
so Wayne will tell you all about it in a minute, but we are Facebook Live streaming. So if anybody wants to comment, we'll try and look at your comments and answer them if you have anything to say to Wayne or me. But his film is a faith-based film, and it is a docudrama. Mm-hmm. And before we show the trailer, Wayne, you tell us a little bit about it, and then we'll show the trailer.
Yeah, and Libby's seen the film, so you went to 2 screenings. Yeah,
yes.
Thank you. I think it was popcorn worthy.
I'd say Oscar worthy.
Oscar worthy. That's right.
Yes.
So the film is it's fascinating, because when I got involved early on, it was a pure documentary, and it was really addressing in the early stages. It was addressing human sexual trafficking and human sex trafficking.
Right.
And then it morphed over time into a docudrama where there was a documentary piece and a narrative piece. Okay, so the narrative being the filmmaking piece. And it's really a retelling of the prodigal son, would be the narrative, which is a biblical story. And then it mixes in real life stories of brokenness. Right. Okay, and the film is all about grace, and that's the reality of it, and that's why I love it. A big line that we've put with the film early on is, what if our brokenness was a bridge to God and not a barrier?
Exactly.
Okay, because everybody has that wrong, which is, I can't go to God, I can't open myself up, because if anybody, including God, gets to see what's inside, they won't want anything to do with me. That's the exact opposite of what the Bible teaches us, right? So the film is addressing an epic problem in our society, which I would say is the over-sexualization of our culture.
Right.
If you really want to boil it down, I have 2 young girls and a young boy as well, and what you see in the aisles at the grocery store, and I'm not a Puritan by any sense of the imagination, but I've showed my girls those magazines and said, you can never look like this, right? This is not real. It's a lie, and beauty magazines only make you feel ugly. And it happens to guys as well. Oh, yeah. And so we're trying to show, but there's going to be brokenness, and so we've got to get that out. I envision the film is, there's men laying out on Omaha Beach, and their guts are hanging out, and I'm running down there to help them, and help save them, and bring them into the light, and get healing, but my guts are hanging out too.
Right.
Right.
Well, the movie's not all about people being addicted to pornography.
Correct.
Like you said, it's about brokenness and the prodigal son coming back to the Lord. It has a good message.
It's huge. Yeah, the grace.
The grace.
We're trying to bring grace, which is not, and this will rub some people the wrong way, but I do not believe fire, brimstone, and condemnation has worked.
Right.
Okay? What does that do if even at church or publicly pound on these guys that are maybe addicted to pornography? They just get darker and deeper into a hole. I'm like, let's bring it out. Let's talk about it.
Talk about it and
if you go to a church, 50% of parishioners are watching pornography.
Exactly.
What's the problem with pornography? It is a gateway drug. You can argue about it however you want. the biggest single lie perpetrated on the American public is that no one gets hurt.
Right.
Everyone gets hurt.
I know.
Everyone.
This is an important film.
And I put myself out there on that, and I mean, I'll argue that point.
I know. Well, I want this. You're calling it also a hybrid doc narrative, which
Right.
I've never heard that term before. It's interesting.
Yeah. So there's some brilliant artistic people and producers involved with the film.
Well, let me say, you're probably going to list him, but Brian Bird, who I've had on the show before, who's called in, he did the film The Case for Christ, and he is a world famous, and he's done the Heaven show.
Yeah, Touched by an Angel.
Touched by an Angel, and he's done many films you've heard of. He's attached to it. Jason Paymer, Jens Jacob, Tony Anderson, Eric Esau, and Noel Boucher. And your friend,
and James
Treweek.
Yeah, James Treweek.
But it's a great team. What were you calling yourself, the Evangelical Beatles or something?
No. I mean, we can get into the genesis story of this. I mean, this is all more than the film.
Yeah,
but,
that may take too long.
But, I mean, the Reader's Digest version is through a nonprofit named Pure Hope that Noel Boucher runs, where Lizzie's little sister worked, I got a glimpse of the film. He said, let me bring these young creatives down who've dreamed this film up, starting with Tony Anderson. So he brought these 3 guys in from Kentucky and Seattle.
Right.
And we sat in my office, and they told me the story of what they envisioned the film. And I just said, just hold on. I said, you guys are like the Beatles of evangelism.
That was it, yeah.
I haven't seen or heard anyone speak like you. Earrings, tall hair, punk clothes.
Cool, yeah.
And I just said, everything you just told me, we're going to tell it to the world. But I need to take you to see about 5 or 6 people because we need to raise money. And I wasn't the only one. They were doing this in other cities too. I get chills.
I know.
Like it was, and I'd seen a little clip that Tony Anderson had dreamed up that was the beginning seeds of the film. And to this day, I say I watched that 3-minute clip, and that 3-minute clip changed the arc of my life. I just sat there at my computer and called Noel Boucher and said, this is Wayne McCullough. You don't know me, but that film needs to get made.
And it got made.
And I didn't know him from anyone on the planet.
And how many years ago? It was 2 years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. So let's show a clip. Or a trailer, Kevin.
Perfect.
Want to?
The best scenario I saw for myself living in the dark was to keep everything a secret. Because if I kept everything a secret, no one would get hurt.
One day I finally figured out how messed up I was, so I went and got help. Yeah, no. Some of us are too broken to even think that far outside of ourselves. So a lot of us have to get caught in one way or the other. And that is a great and terrifying grace.
It was like taking a drug. There was this unbelievable guilt and shame associated with it, but at the same time I felt this high.
I feel this sense that something is uniquely wrong with me. I always felt that God was mildly disgusted with me.
Hearing that he loves me didn't really resonate because it's like when it's all said and done, he's still going to judge me.
Man, no matter what you did to clean yourself up, to look good, to play the right parts, to say the right things, shame was always there to tell you that you're bad. And when you're bad, God doesn't love you. He doesn't want to have anything to do with it. You have to earn that love.
Shame is that thing that drives my compulsive behavior.
I was a slave to it. That's when it clicked.
Lust is desire gone mad. So every man, every woman struggles with lust. Eventually we begin to face it's an addiction. It's going to kill us. So often we think God is just trying to get us to conform, when really what he's committed to is unbelievable transformation. If we could only enter the depths of his love, we would find our lives deeply changed.
When the prodigal hits the bottom, something can grow. Nothing so dead. God can't grow something living in it.
Can y'all believe that? I have chills. Isn't it beautiful? It's such a beautiful film. Kevin, let's put up, I'm going to give this film Oscar worthy.
Which I believe is our highest ranking. Oh,
Yes.
hold on a second. When we rebooted, I lost my VLV.
He's going to show, in our little thing here, you'll see, ta-da! But it's pretty cool. He'll put it on in a second. But,
Oh, there we go.
okay, here we go. Look, Wayne. Ta-da!
Ah, yes. That's what we're looking
I
for.
mean, it's really...
That's for you, Pamer.
Yes. The cinematography it was filmed in Hawaii. It's just a beautiful, if anything, it's just a beautiful movie. Visually stunning, which in the music, to me, a story and music make a movie. I mean, I think those are you have to have a story that comes together, it's tight, and wonderful music, and y'all have both. So I give it Oscar worthy.
Thank you.
But so Wayne, tell them, we only have a little bit more time about this film.
It was going to get a little uncomfortable in here if you had to give your brother's movie a half
Correct,
doctor.
yeah.
No, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't have even invited him to come.
Yeah.
But Wayne, tell us, the viewers, where they can. So it's going to be shown in 500 theaters next Thursday, September 14th.
14th, yeah.
Okay, give them the scoop.
Well, it's actually, I just talked to Jason Pamer on the way over here.
Right.
We're approaching 600 theaters. Fathom Pictures has been an incredible partner to us. So it's a one-night release. Okay, so it's very important that people get to the theater. If it performs well, which it will, because our ticket sales are showing that it should be picked up another night.
Okay.
Okay, and then there are all kinds of distribution channels down the line.
Right.
We could potentially come out in theaters in October. We have an iTunes release. We'll have a Netflix to follow that, and then we go church-wide, which means we're going to take it to mega churches and churches and airing it to the congregation, and then having roundtables speak about it. And then this project's evergreen. Okay, it lasts a lifetime because then we have back-end produced materials to go with it that are curriculum to get people through these tough times. Right. So it's the heartofmanmovie.com. I encourage you to go there, and all you do is put your zip code in, which I did today for myself because I bought more tickets.
And it's playing
and
where
it's
here in
playing
Dallas?
North Park for me is the
Okay.
closest, which is unbelievable.
Is it in other theaters in Dallas too?
Yes.
So, I mean-
if you're in, let's say you're in Mesquite.
Right.
So I can't tell you all the theaters because there's so many,
So
but
next Thursday
literally
night.
it'll pop up, put your zip code in, buy tickets online, and they email them to you.
But we want this to be seen more than just Thursday night. So
Correct.
get out and see it. We want it to be seen multiple nights, and then after that, like I said, distribution, you'll be able to find it anywhere.
Yeah, and a couple more comments because I know we're tight on time, and I
Right.
can talk about this forever, but that team put together an incredible film, okay? And I watched it for the first time with 300 or whatever it was, 180 of my closest friends at the Highland Park Village Theater, and was so proud of the artistic work put
What's
on
beautiful.
up. Tony Anderson scored it. He did a lot of that overseas in Europe, which is incredible. Esau's direction, Pamer's work. I mean, these guys, Brian Bird said on a call the other day, another film that we may begin working on, said these guys are the most talented young guys in Hollywood.
Yes.
And they aren't in Hollywood, technically. But, and I will back that up.
Well, I want
And
to
they're-
see them make something else. Like they're so talented. I want to see them make a mainstream movie too, or another. I always complain that there are just no good faith-based movies
Yeah.
that are beautifully done.
Well, stay tuned. We may be working on one
Right.
that I've hinted to, but I can't talk about it here. So I don't know what else you want to cover.
That's it.
I would say this, because I'd be remiss, is the film is about brokenness and addiction across all lines and struggling, and I am far from perfect, but anybody out there, I encourage you to go see this movie because it's going to open you up, and then we're going to have resources. So don't struggle alone. Don't hide it, and men are terrible about that, be it depression, be it addiction. So, I mean, this is a calling to, give God a chance.
Well, we forgot to put out there one of the guys that was speaking, William
William
Young wrote The Shack, and he has a great story that he talks about in the movie about his brokenness, and
Yeah, to get an author of that caliber to be in our film says a lot.
Yes.
His story I knew nothing about. I thought he was just an author, and that was a really great book, The Shack. But
he has a great
story.
story.
Is devastating, yet the redemption is unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, everybody needs to go see it. Libby's Movie Hunt is streaming live now on Facebook. We also will be on YouTube's, iTunes. Y'all can all find us talking more about the Heart of Man. But Wayne, I'm excited about seeing it again for the third time. I loved it. Do you want to
Thank you.
stay and talk
Sure.
a couple more movies with us?
I'd love to.
You know what? Should we just go right on from a faith-based Christian film to It?
I was
kinda
hoping that's
you
the
would.
one. There's nothing I want to see right now, really, besides that. And I've read most Stephen King books. I'm really excited.
Okay, should we do that? Let's
Let's
segue.
do it.
Let's
Yeah.
segue over to It, Wayne. Sorry about that.
No, it's perfect.
We love you, Lord, but you know,
But
I'm
I also
not
love
too
horror
worried
films.
about demons because you just say leave in Jesus' name and
That's
they're gone. But the It, I saw it last night. No, did I see it the night before? Yeah, saw it the night before at a screening. I loved it. Kevin, what'd you think?
I loved it as well, and I'm one of those people who had no frame of reference going into this. I've never read a Stephen King novel except The Shining a million years ago,
Yeah.
and I never saw the original It
Me
miniseries
either.
featuring Tim Curry. So I had no bias, I wasn't jaded in any way to or push towards one direction. So I'm glad I was able to go with kind of a clean slate on it. But yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
Well, and Kevin loves horror films. That's like his favorite genre. And besides sci-fi.
Sci-fi
I mean,
too,
come on,
yeah.
he's the sci-fi guy.
But was it scary, Kevin?
Well,
Or is it
it's not really scary.
It's not.
or is it more of a Sixth Sense type scary?
Oh, absolutely.
You
It's
know what I'm
much
saying?
more of a supernatural,
Yeah.
eerie, will give you chills type fear, less than a, brutal, gory slasher type
Well,
fear.
it is a drama and a comedy and a buddy movie and a horror film. And I was with my son Dallas, and I said, that reminded me of Stand By Me.
Yes, me
and
too.
he's like, well,
Love that.
Stephen
Or
King
Super
Stephen
8
King
wrote
wrote
that.
Those, yeah.
And he wrote Stand By Me. I'm like, it's like a buddy film, and it's because it's 7 kids. I call them the Magnificent Seven. These kids are they're hilarious.
Yeah.
First of all, it reminded me a little bit of Stranger Things.
I got a Stranger Things vibe, big
yeah,
time.
Love that
except
show.
with the
Minus the 80s undertones. in
and
that
the sci-fi elements.
Right.
But it
It's much more horror than Stranger Things, that's for sure.
but it's really kind of sad. A lot of these kids in this town of Derry go missing,
Yeah.
and then Bill, this boy who he was in, what was he in? The kid Bill.
I'm not sure.
He was in Book of Henry.
I don't know that I really recognize
Book
anyone.
of Henry. Did you see that? He was so
No.
good in that. But his brother went missing. The clown got him, and he and his friends are on a mission to find where all the missing children in Derry have been going all these years. But one thing I didn't get, Kevin, where did this evil clown come from?
The origin is something that isn't really clearly defined, I don't think.
That's what my son said. He said, "Don't worry about it. That's what makes it good
Yeah, I
and
don't
interesting."
remember. I don't
is
remember. I read the book
mysterious.
years ago, but I don't remember that being in the book either.
Yeah, it's
Like
and,
how-
and the clown is Pennywise is his name.
Yes.
So you know what's interesting about that
Yeah.
movie is, and I'm a huge King fan,
Right.
is for every really good one, they completely whiff on Stephen King.
Oh, gosh.
There's been 100 bad movies.
That's true.
But Shawshank Redemption, one of my
Best movie of all
all-time
time.
favorites.
My top
But
5.
then you had like Dreamcatcher, which was a just total
Terrible.
tank.
When you have
So it's interesting
yeah.
to see
Well,
they either
Christine
get them
was
really
good.
right. Yeah.
Some of them, yeah. I like Pet Cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
Pet
that one?
Sematary is great.
Love that. But it got 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is great.
Very good.
And it really I read this somewhere. It's just in time for Horror Day season. I thought you'd like
it's
that.
perfect. It's a perfect way to kick off the season.
Because Kevin loves
we're
his
going into-
Halloween movies.
I do. I watch one every single day.
And
in
so
the
does
month of
Wayne. And
October.
Wayne was born on Halloween.
Oh, wow.
You've
That's
never
awesome.
known a person in your entire life that likes Halloween more than this kid. It's insane. Y'all,
Yeah.
his costumes, it's crazy, the
Got a lot of
costumes.
them. Yeah.
Anyway, last year he had a suit that wouldn't it have clowns all over it?
Last year had, it may have had clowns.
And the
Was
one
it?
before was all money.
I have a bunch of different suits.
He's been the
that are-
Joker. He's been all that.
Yeah.
But one thing that made me think of the Joker. I don't think I've seen this good a clown since a reimagined clown since Heath Ledger in the Joker Batman movie. This clown is
I actually
scary.
wouldn't have drawn that comparison, but you're right.
Yeah, and the guy who plays it, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on. Bill Skarsgård.
Yes.
And he was in Atomic Blonde and Divergent series, but otherwise I don't really know him. But You know, in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, Freddy Krueger, this guy is going to continue to play Pennywise the clown.
You think so? He's going to be like the Robert Englund now of the Stephen King flicks?
But you've never been so ready for a sequel at the end of this movie. You're like, I want to see it tomorrow.
Well, I was thinking, and maybe your son agrees, that perhaps since they didn't explain the origin, maybe they want to keep it that way, or maybe they want to do kind of like with Annabelle to the Insidious films, and kind of explain, have a backstory, a prequel.
Yeah,
exactly.
Could be possible.
Maybe that could be
the origin story, yeah.
You should see it, Wayne, though. But honestly, I think you could even take your middle school children to see it. It's not that scary.
Wayne Jr. is obsessed with seeing it. We're going to go.
But it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, and it's not excessively. There's really no gore at all.
It's kids. I mean, they say a couple of bad words, but it's really funny.
Yeah, there's just surprisingly light moments. And I was not expecting.
I saw it with a packed crowd, and I did kind of jump out of my seat a couple of times. We only have a few minutes.
No, we still got about 5 minutes left.
Okay. Do you want to say anything else on that film?
No, I'm good to go on it. I'm probably going to go again this weekend because I loved it.
Yeah, I want to see it again.
I'm not going to say it's Oscar worthy, but I am going to say it's way up there in terms of quality.
Let's say, show
films.
us, it's popcorn worthy.
It's full popcorn worthy.
Kevin and I can't get over how cute that is. It makes instead of Siskel and Ebert 2 thumbs up, we've got our little visual.
It's brilliant.
We just feel like we're entertainment tonight, Melissa. The head honcho here is in the studio, Melissa Plaskoff. Cute little Melissa over there. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her and her carpool talk show inviting me on.
She actually really wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Mom.
It's because of Melissa.
And I really wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Mom. Yeah.
Physically.
Yeah. But I'm having a blast talking about movies. So I hope y'all are too. I wish y'all would write in on Facebook. I'll try and look down and see if you're saying anything. I loved it the other week when y'all were chatting with us.
Yeah, we had a lot of responses.
Yes, we had fun. Okay, the other movie I saw was Home Again with Reese Witherspoon. Did you see it?
I did not.
Of course
because
not.
This is one, I'll admit that's what I'm worst at is
chick flicks.
A sports film and chick flicks. I just don't go
I don't like
see
sports
enough.
movies either.
I'll catch them on TV sometimes, but it's hard for me to get into.
Yeah. Reese Witherspoon, it's written by Nancy and Haley Myers, and I guess Haley is her daughter, and she directed it. And I have to say, I give it popcorn worthy, but it's not great. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's mildly popcorn worthy. Lizzie would like it, your wife, because she likes chick flicks, and she and I are obsessed with Reese Witherspoon.
She likes Hallmark movies.
She likes Hallmark movies.
And the premise basically is that an older Reese Witherspoon ends up with a way younger dude or something?
She's out on her 40th birthday, and she's separated from Michael Sheen, the actor, and she has 2 precious kids. She's moved to California. Her dad was a famous screenwriter, and her mother, played by Candice Bergen, was a famous actress. And she moves into her parents' old home in L.A., and she goes out one night, meets these 3 young guys, and she hooks up with this young, precious guy that literally, this is the cutest young man you've ever seen. I kept saying, again, I was with my son, oh my God, that boy is so cute. He's 27, but I'm like, is this normal? I think this 27-year-old's so cute. But he's like, cougar, Mom. But
there are plenty of 27-year-old women I find it.
Well, yes. But, I was like, is this not good? But the kid, his name is Pico Alexander. He plays Harry. And, this kid is a movie star. He's been in War Machine and something else I've never heard of. So, look him up. He's the star. But so these 3 young guys are writing a screenplay in Hollywood, and Candice Bergen falls in love with him when she meets them at Reese's house after they've been out. And she's like, y'all have got to move in with my daughter and till you make it in Hollywood. And she moves them in, and these hilarious shenanigans happen. And then there's all a happy ending, and
I was thinking from the trailers though that it was somewhat miscast, only because Reese Witherspoon still looks incredibly young to be playing the older woman type character. Just in my personal opinion,
it works though. You'd see
it works.
She has this one funny scene in it where they had spent the night, and the next morning the guy she had kissed that night before, he's like, he had put on his pajamas and he couldn't find his clothes or something. He's like, where are my clothes? And she brought him in like this, and he's like, you did my laundry?
Like her son.
So it showed that, she was a mother. She's like, sorry, here's your clothes. It was pretty funny. But I was sad it only got 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't agree with that.
So you're going to give it a little higher than that?
I'm going to give it mildly popcorn worthy.
Is that half pop?
Well, I'm not going to give it half pop.
Okay. So mildly.
Mildly, but I'm going to say.
Someday we'll do a whole show just of those.
Yes, but it was 39% would probably bag full of kernels.
I think so.
Or half pop.
I was expecting a mediocre to lukewarm reviews on this one. I would have thought somewhere in the 50 to 60% range is what it probably would have come out with. But
okay, I've told you my Reese Witherspoon story. She was here. She has a store in Highland Park Village called Draper James, and Wayne's wife Lizzie said, "Libby, you have got to come to this opening." I'd been invited. I'm like, I don't want to go to a store opening. She's like, "You're being lazy. Get up and get dressed, and we're going to go meet Reese Witherspoon." And so, of course, there's like 700 women there, and I beeline it right to Reese Witherspoon, and so did Lizzie. And she was so sweet. She hugged us and had her picture made with us, and she goes, I go, "We just love you." And she goes, "I've been hugged here more in 24 hours than I have in 20 years in L.A." And I was like, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
I hope she doesn't say that everywhere.
I know. She's like, "I just love you, Texans."
She lives in Nashville, too, doesn't she?
Part of the time. Well, no, she lives in L.A., and her daughter is like a twin.
She's got her store in Nashville also.
Yeah. She was married to that cute, y'all know.
Why can't it?
Ryan
Phillippe.
Ryan Phillippe. And they got a divorce, and she actually married her agent. She's married to it, and they have a little boy, so she has 3 kids. Her kids, I know her son's name, one of her kids' name is Deacon, and that's why do I know that.
It's a great name.
And also another good Reese Witherspoon story is when I go to LA, I like to stalk celebrities. I don't say anything to them, but I like to know where they are, and I always go to Barney's shoe department, and there's always one there, and Reese was there one day, and I had to buy some Manolo Blahnik shoes just to get close to her.
Oh, well. It's called legalized stalking.
Yeah. It was pretty good. So I guess are we done?
We are just about out of time.
Okay, well, Wayne, thanks for coming on.
Oh, it was awesome.
Best wishes to The Heart of Men next week. Y'all all go
Get
out
in
and
the theaters.
see it. Heartofmen.com, not The Heart of Men, heartofmen.com.
Yeah.
Type in your zip and go see it.
If you have any questions, hit Libby's page
Facebook,
and
yeah.
I'll answer.
Wayne will follow up. But thanks for tuning in, and now go enjoy the movies.